Hi, I'm Sterling. Come on in. The water's dark, but it's probably fine. Thanks for joining me. This is a story about looking out the window. It is titled Safe Route. The ship shuddered to a halt in a way that modern gravitic envelopes are supposed to prevent. But emergency exits often have to be made without the usual niceties. I could feel the shudder right through the control yoke, also something of an emergency measure, a not usual thing in this era of AI assists and mental interface piloting. I was glad for that hard vibration, though. It let me at least pretend to ignore the shudders going through my own limbs, including the two artificial ones. Even synthetic muscle fibers will quiver and twitch when the unrest is shaking out straight from your spine. I could still see it, that smile, right through the thick crafted carbon of the forward viewport, except that of course I couldn't really see anything through the viewport now, just the unremarkable starfield of deep space. I could see it in my head, maybe see it in my soul, if the mystics really are right and there is such a thing. I sort of hope not. Supposedly, we go to some other plane of existence when we die, and that's exactly what hyperspace was. And what I'd just seen in that other reality made me very much wish for oblivion rather than continued existence, if there's any chance for anything like that. Like that. Any chance for anything like that. I couldn't get my mind to latch onto it properly. Maybe I shouldn't. But it was clearly so happy to see me. I did my best to calm my labored breathing. I knew I should check on the rest of the crew. There were only 5 of them. It wouldn't take long. Thing is, though, maybe they'd be happy to see me too. Maybe they hadn't had the presence of mind to look away. I know they'd seen, because I'd heard their exclamations through the comms before all the channels had filled up with unbearable thoughts that echoed in from outside, and I had to shut the whole thing down. It was so quiet now, quiet in the worst way, the groaning of whole composites, still protesting the way we'd been dumped out into normal space with such a lack of proper ceremony. The wisp and rasp of the emergency air circulation system, running on dumb primitive circuits of the kind that even a second millennium tinkerer would have been able to understand. Then there was the red, uncaring harshness of the hazard lights, sparked by simple chemical reactions that would have to be manually extinguished after physically prying their panels open. It glared against the interior of the viewport, caught on the residue of my own breathing, since the simple backup filters couldn't be bothered with anything but the most pressing of pollutants. Maybe, if I reached out a finger, I could draw a smile in that somehow oily fog, a wide, knowing grin. How could something so alien have a smile? Isn't smiling just a human thing? Even for most Earth animals, the baring of teeth isn't a happy thing, almost always a threat. But that thing had no teeth, barely had a face at all. Too many eyes everywhere really, more eye than flesh, and the way they moved around. Maybe it smiled because it knew, because the smile had been a joyous thing, terrible joy, elation drawn up into shivering, sweet, sickly heights. It had things to teach me, that smile, things to share, things to show all of us. I still wasn't sure how much my shipmates had seen. I breathed out, hard, and rested my forehead against the control yoke. Just a small, badly needed moment of respite. Something earned. I felt a pulse of sudden anger and pushed the yoke away, shoving myself back upright and causing a spurt of emergency thrust to tumble the ship aft over 4. Not that it mattered. We were nowhere. "How the fuck is this a safe route?" I yelled, and my voice sounded hoarse and broken. I realized I'd been sobbing, deep and soft and steady for how long? For the whole time, I thought. For the whole time. It was supposed to be a shortcut, maybe even had been. I wasn't really sure how much closer, if at all, we were now to our destination. I didn't dare turn enough of the ship AI back on to do a proper Starfield nav check. She'd said it was a shortcut, A special hyperspace web current solution, a secret topography that would get our cargo from planet to station in half the time, beat out our competitors with timely supplies. She'd smiled when she'd said it, and I wasn't sure I liked the smile, but I'd known her a long time and trusted her because she'd never given me any reason not to. And of course, we all were tired. It's not easy in our business trying to stay ahead. And we'd helped each other out before. And the math checked out. The AI had told me, even if it was a little unconventional, met all safety criteria, wasn't going to tear the ship apart or dump us out of hyperspace prematurely. No. I'd had to do the dumping myself. A rhythmic banging on the cockpit door brought me out of my thinking funk with a bang, bang, bang. I froze and looked around. No weapons. Shouldn't be necessary. We're a liability, really, in a home for such delicate instruments, even if most of them were switched off. "Who is it?" I asked. Bang, 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 bang. No other answer. I took a deep breath and pushed the button to switch the internal camera system back on. Sure enough, there she was, Baghdadi, standing at the door, piece of piping in her hand, ragged on both ends. I wondered where she'd gotten it from. I wondered where she'd torn it from. I wondered how that was possible, but that wasn't what caught my attention. The camera's view was of her back. I couldn't see her face, but I could feel her smile anyway. With a trembling hand, I switched on the backup audiocom, spoke through the tinny magnetic speakers. "If any of you can hear me and give a coherent response, this is your one and only chance. You have 20 seconds. Any longer, and I'm going to assume you're smiling. I won't have it. I won't have it on the ship with me." I waited. I had no real way to time out 20 seconds, with almost everything shut down, so I counted each bang of the pipe on the door. Bang, 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 bang. Close enough. No other response. It took me another 2 minutes to bludgeon my way through all the security safeguards so I could vent the rest of the ship out into space. It took me another 2 weeks to get the systems back online, one by one, purging every byte of data they'd saved from the previous hyperspace jaunt. I drank emergency water and recycled my piss with a hand filter and ate not very much. By the time I made it to the station, I had lost a hell of a lot of weight. A walking skeleton, but not a smiling one. No, never that. They told me the frozen, desiccated corpses they pulled from the rest of the ship were smiling plenty, though. That was what saved me. Those smiles saved me from a trial for manslaughter at the very least. No one could bear to look at those smiles, and in the end they knew I must not have had any choice. No one knows where I'd been. I made sure that was all gone. No records. I was responsible. They never found my former friend either. She was gone, gone, gone. But I've heard things about the pictures she left behind. I think they finally managed to delete all of them. I don't think it spread too far. And I'm fine here in this cramped little station cabin. I think I'll stay. I can afford it. I made plenty on the supplies after all. I was the only one who made it here. I beat out all the competition because the competition is all gone. Turns out she'd told everyone she could about her marvelous safe route shortcut. Hey, thanks for listening. That was Safe Route, a story I wrote for a writing prompt a few years back. If you'd like to read more, I have a novel, an anthology, and a Substack linked in the description. And if you'd like to hear more, kindly like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep you posted.